Hello, all you beautiful, lovely, gorgeous individuals out there, to another edition of Talking Sam. I'm your host, Sam Macias, and with me today, one of the most talented athletic athletes on the rise in the world of college softball. She represents the Arizona State Sun Devils softball team. She is the one, the only Tanya Windle. Ms. Windle, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we get into any of the questions, I do know you guys did start the season off over the weekend. How do you guys feel about your start so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're off to a slow, steady start, kind of sort of. Didn't go our way against Northwestern or Boise State this weekend. But
Mhm.
they were both really good games, and I think they challenged us to be better this weekend for sure. So just going into this week with that mentality of like, okay, this past weekend didn't really go our way. So just moving forward from that and having that little fire in our belly to get us going, I think will help us a lot for the rest of the season. So.
Nice. And it seems like even though you guys had a couple bumps in those tournaments so far, it seems like it could be motivation going to the next tournament you guys have upcoming, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with all that happened. Like we were up 4-0 against Boise in the first inning, and then we kind of just lost it after that. So they
Right.
put in another pitcher, number 24 for Boise, and we just couldn't really get a hold of her. I mean, she dealt a great game, so it was good. But yeah, definitely going into this next week, we're gonna work our butts off to be better. So.
Nice. Absolutely. Best of luck to you and your team. And before we get to your current state in the softball world right now for Arizona State, I want to go and talk to you about your past. This is all about you. This is the Tanya Windle show. What was kind of like your first interest in softball? Was it a sport you grew up playing as a kid, or is it something you kind of picked up later on, say in high school?
Yeah, so I started playing softball when I was 10. And ever since then, I mean, I've had a few bumps in the road with it, right?
Mhm.
Like everyone does with their sport.
Right.
I knew that softball was really for me when I was about 14, 15, freshman year of high school, and we went to state and just
Oh.
playing for that huge crowd down at U of A, like I knew this is what I really wanted to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, and with that, I was kind of a late bloomer with the recruiting process. I didn't become super good at softball, in my opinion, until my junior or senior year of high school. So yeah, since then I've just been on an uprise and still grinding. So
Nice. You got grinding that you are.
yes,
um,
yeah.
no, you mentioned right there you didn't feel like you became a good softball player until junior senior year. Was when you say that, do you feel like some of the offers from other colleges then come rolling in to say for others that you might know?
Yeah, for sure. Like I had a bunch of my teammates that were getting offers left and right, and I was just kind of left in the corner, and I felt
Mhm.
as if I was working my hardest. And that was my junior year when I kind of felt like giving up. Mind you, I was
Oh,
committed to Grand Canyon.
okay.
But then the new coaching staff came in and I opened my recruitment up a little bit, and then I decided to go to Dixie State at the time, but then it became Utah Tech. So yeah, but I kind of felt shafted in that recruiting process because of COVID.
Right.
And like I said, like I didn't blossom until my junior, senior year of high school. So yeah.
So thank you for mentioning Utah Tech. You went there for your freshman year. How was that experience like going from Arizona moving up to Utah Tech? And was it a good environment for you going in for your freshman year? And what did you learn from that before you making the move back to Arizona?
Yeah. So going there, I knew like it was a whole new opportunity for me to be better at my sport away from home. And that's honestly like kind of what I wanted in that moment. Like with my recruiting, I was like, you know what, how about I try going away,
Mm,
being away from home? And like, I mean, yeah, I did good and everything, but it was really hard to be away from home. I got homesick. My mental health just wasn't the best, mind you. Like, yeah, I did good. I had a great season, but it just I wasn't in the right headspace, and I knew I needed to come home. And so once I entered the portal, Arizona State was actually the first school to reach out, and that's when I knew like it was kind of meant to be at that point because I knew that God had a plan for me to come back home. So,
uh,
yeah.
it sounds like it did. Sounds like it did. Now, you like you said, you enter the portal. Arizona State gave you the call, reached out to you. Was there any trepidation of accepting that from Arizona State? Because Arizona State is one of these prestigious schools when it comes to softball. The history is there. Was there any nervousness going back to Arizona and specifically Arizona State?
Not at all. I knew that it was what I wanted for a while. Like ever since I was little, it's been my dream school. So,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably wondering, then why did you go to Utah Tech? But like I said, I was just a late bloomer and I didn't have the opportunity with the old coaching staff that was at Arizona State to
Mhm.
come here, you know? So
Right.
yeah. But no, I mean, I knew what I wanted to do right then and there. I still took my visit and everything, and I was still talking to other coaches like while on my visit at Arizona State, but like I knew it's what I wanted at the end of the day. So yeah.
Nice. And on the topic of the transfer portal, I know in college sports, there's a lot of negative talk about it, especially when ADs and coaches are talking about the transfer portal. You being someone who has experience inside of that process, do you feel the transfer portal is more appealing to athletes that want to have a better career in college?
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of the reason why I did it, right? And I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even have to be just, oh, I want to go somewhere that's better than where I'm at. Like, people are going through a lot of things at certain
Right.
schools that no one really talks about, that no one really mentions, you know? So when like I entered, there was a lot of backlash that I got from people at the old school that I was at. And
Right.
just family members were kind of like, why would you do that? Like, you were killing it there. And I don't know. I just, like I said, mental health, I was just not in a good spot. And I kind of lost who I thought I was, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
wasn't like a happy, bubbly Tanya that I am now at Arizona State. So yeah, just to be back on that track. And I think that's what's most important with the transfer portal is just really understanding um, the person's side of entering rather
Mm-hmm.
than just jumping to conclusions about, oh, they entered to go somewhere better. That's messed up, you know? So
Right. No, absolutely. And I don't think that's never really talked about when it comes to the transfer portal, the mental health of an athlete, especially a student athlete. You don't know what they're going through in life, whether it's on the positive or the negative. Now, as I was going through my research on you, Tanya, I was looking through your kind of your recruiting list that they have. And one of the things they mention about you as a what's your primary position, it mentions you as a utility player in the world in softball, what does a utility player mean? Is that they can plug you into any position, first, a second, shortstop, and you pretty much can fit anywhere?
yeah, but honestly, like over the years, I have transitioned to just be an outfielder. So
Right.
like maybe utility outfielders means like I can play left or I can play center or right, and it doesn't matter. Like I'm still gonna catch the ball either way, still gonna field. But yeah, growing up, I was a utility. I literally did every position in high school. I
Mm.
caught, I pitched, I played third. Yeah. So
Again, back on the movie from Utah to Arizona State, going from Utah Tech to Arizona State, there's, and as you said, there was a lot of backlash going from, I'm assuming, coaches and teammates, and like you said, family members. Now that you're inside the system, you feel more adjusted. How do you guys feel about your season going so far?
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's off to a little bit of a slow start, right? Not exactly the way we wanted it to go, but with all the work that we put in on the off season and in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
we definitely came a long way, especially with a bunch of new girls just coming together, right? I mean, that's hard. And we're such a young team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think our sophomore class here has about 8 kids in it, and like me being
Oh,
one of them.
wow.
So yeah, we have a bunch of sophomores. We have about 5 freshmen. We have one junior, but she's unfortunately redshirting this year. And then we have, I think, 5 or 6 seniors, maybe more. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's such a new, fresh team that we're all still unsure what even grade we're in. So yeah, with that, comes with just it's new and it's gonna be a long ride this year, but we've came together a lot better than I thought we would have considering how new we are. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited, and so is the whole team. So,
Nice.
yeah.
And I want to bring this up real quick. It seems that women's sports, especially in college, has been on the rise as of the last few years, whether it be in softball or basketball. It just seems like more people are being more attracted to it, whether it's the competition or the schools that behind it, like the Arizona States of the world, Oklahoma, UCLA. Why do you think women's athletics in college has been such on the rise as of late?
Just because, like, I think we've had so many, like, empowering women in NCAA sports that have spoken up about it
Mm-hmm.
and they know that it's not right. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as far as NIL deal goes, like, we have a bunch of football players here that are getting Teslas, and what do we
Yeah.
get? Women, you know what I mean? So we've had
Mm-hmm.
people at Oregon, women, who have spoken up about it, and they're like, this is just not fair. So, I mean, hopefully one day I could be one of them because I know that it isn't fair, but, um, Yeah, I think it's risen just because of empowered women that are speaking up about it. So, super proud of what our generation has kind of done with that, just because like from what it was to now, I think there's a huge improvement for sure. And I mean, I'm pretty sure if I'm right, softball is like one of the top watched things on television right now when it comes to the Women's College World Series with
Yeah,
the Baseball
absolutely.
World Series too. So yeah, I think there's those and powerful women kind of saying those things to get it out there has helped a lot. So
Yeah, and I 100% agree, especially nowadays. You just mentioned right there, softball is probably one of the most watched sports right now, especially during last year's College World Series. It was featured on the main channel on ESPN. When do you have any extra pressure onto you knowing how many eyes are specifically on you and your team? There's like, okay, if I do not get this right, it's gonna look bad on not only me but for all my teammates and everything like that.
yeah, I mean, in the beginning, in the fall, yeah, and I have no idea why. I think it was just nerves and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, Arizona State, but
Mm-hmm.
this year, no. Like I stepped on the field this past weekend and I realized, like, you know what, like we're all here for a reason, and I think a lot of us girls did.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us still put those like anxiousness and nerves on ourselves for no reason. But once we kind of get over that hump of like, you know what, we're here for a reason, we shouldn't be kind of thinking about all eyes on us. I
Right.
think we're gonna be good. But yeah, in the fall, I definitely thought like, oh my God, I'm at Arizona State, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit. But now I've kind of gotten over that, and I think a lot of us have. So I'm super excited.
That's awesome. That's great to hear fighting over those nerves. Um,
Yeah.
Not only has college athletics for women has been on the rise, but also professional softball leagues as well in other parts of the country. Have you been keeping a close eye on that and looking at that as seen as once your career in Arizona State has ended, going into that field in the professional ranks, or are you looking more at the Olympic side of softball if they decide to bring that back?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure softball Olympics will be back in 2028. They've
Okay.
decided to push it back again, for whatever reason. But
I don't
I've
understand it either. I don't
definitely
know why.
I've definitely thought about it for sure. Especially AU, which is Athletes Unlimited. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great league and they have a bunch of amazing women in that league. So I mean that would be super cool. But honestly, like right now I'm really trying to just focus on my life after softball, just because I'm kind of dealing with this ongoing injury and I don't know if my body will even last me that long. So
Mm.
yeah, for sure. I've definitely thought about it, but yeah, I'm dealing my SI joint in my back is a little messed up right now.
Oh, dang.
So yeah.
Hey, I hope in a speedy recovery for you. Hopefully, it'll be 100% as the season rolls on for you guys.
Mhm.
Are you since you mentioned that we see student athletes all the time. Once they get injured in college, they don't have a backup plan or anything like that. What's kind of like your what is your backup plan? Do you have a are you what's your field of study as of late right now?
Yeah, so I'm a psychology major and I really want to
Okay.
be a sports therapist. I mean, I've thought
Mm.
about changing it plenty of times as every college kid does, but I kind of want to stick with it. Just because I know where I'm at in life, it's the perfect opportunity for me to do that. Especially with everything that I've been through between club ball and that recruiting process that I was talking with you about and
Yeah.
just facing adversity the right way. For sure, that's something that I want to do. So yeah.
Now, with that, you say you want the you're working on a psychology and sports. I see also you've been working as an ambassador for organizations and a recruiter as well for A2A and 98 Strong. Well, how's that been like working with them? What's the relationship been so far? And also helping out, kind of getting the next generation of softball players ready for when it's their time to come up.
Yeah, so athlete to athlete is actually for younger kids that are about 10 to 12 or no matter their age really that are playing softball for me, of
Okay.
course. And I kind of just I have two little girls right now. One's name is Finley and the other one's Kaylin.
Mm,
And I've kind of just helped them with their mental health really and just giving
okay.
them drills to do to make themselves better because they're on the East Coast. One of
Oh,
them is Texas, the other's in New Jersey. And
okay.
somehow some way they knew me. So yeah, I've been helping them with drills and everything. So that's kind of what athlete to athlete is. It's honestly been such a fun journey. And now like I'm an ambassador and recruiter for them, which means like I get athletes like Division I athletes all around the country to join the program so that way they can do the same thing in their sport for other kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it does. And how important is that mental health to get as at that young age, 12 to 10 to 12 or whatever age? How important is mental health is it for them to get them developed and started into athletics as soon as their time has come?
Oh yeah, it's super important. I mean, at that age, like I kind of just had that like self-driven mentality of like nothing's gonna stop me today from hitting at least 200, getting 200 swings in a day, and
Mm,
just kind of like teaching kids that like, hey, it's okay to like go out of your comfort zone and do things that like you don't want to do. Let's say you're laying in bed all day and like you have nothing to do. Go outside. You know what I mean? I think that's what our
right.
generation's kind of struggling with is just going outside, because
Mhm.
we're so attached to these dang things.
Yeah, it's like
That's
they want to touch the grass, but they don't know how to touch the grass.
yeah. So just kind of explaining that and like where I grew up and everything, I think has helped them a ton. So yeah, but mental health is huge, especially nowadays. And I think that's another thing why women's sports are starting to be on the uprise, right? Because we
Hmm.
have super strong, mentally capable women that
Yep,
can speak up and say
absolutely.
something. So
There are some I am afraid of.
yeah. Yeah.
Does that also was that also working with those organizations like Athlete to Athlete and 98 Strong? Did that also help you to get started on your own merch store at Influence T?
Yeah, yeah. So Influence D kind of came when I was at my old school last year. I saw a
Mhm.
few of my fellow athletes doing it, and
Okay.
so followed them. They reached out to me, and I kind of got my own merch line going. But now I have another merch kind of thing going on with ASU, and so do a lot
Okay.
of my teammates. It's like athletes thread, but
Mhm.
yeah. So
Links below will be in the description as well for everyone who is wants to support Tanya here and all her endeavors.
thank you.
Now, when you were first starting off with Influence T and then now going into ASU's merch store, what was kind of the process in that trying to like make up clever like sayings or putting your name on a sweater or a t-shirt? Did you have any input on how it would go here or there, or they pretty much present, hey, this is how it look? What do you think?
So I do both. I have Influence T and I have Athletes Thread through Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
Air Athletes Thread just kind of did their own thing. They were like, here's Sun Devil softball number 44 on the side, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool, because it's
Okay.
through the school. I can do that. But with Influence T, I can't have any school affiliated thing with that just because like
Mm.
kind of my own thing and not Arizona State's. So
Right.
on Influence T, it says like my signature with my number, and then on the back it says, what is my quote? It doesn't matter how big you are, but how big you play. And I think that's huge just because growing up I was so small, so tiny, so skinny, and like I see so many of my young ones that because I do lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I see so many of my young ones just so hard on themselves and they're like, I can't hit a home run, blah, blah, blah. And it's like it doesn't matter right now. Like you got time. So
Right.
just that to them I think has opened their eyes. And I know that I've helped a lot of kids with that quote. I helped myself. So yeah.
Nice. And with that relationship that you have with Influence T, do you feel like it'd be a little more creative, like when you're trying to create a T-shirt or a sweater on that side, and not have to be so not corporate, but not so kind of. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can be like a picture of me and like action hitting a ball when I'm in the box, but I like can't have Arizona State on it or anything. It's just like
Right.
Tanya Windle merch. So I mean, it's really cool, but I like the modern day aesthetic. Like, here's my
Mm,
name, here's a quote,
right.
So yeah.
Going back to you training some of the girls coming up, is that something you're also looking at being a coach when again when your time at your career at Arizona State has finished? Is coaching's kind of been something in the back of your head maybe to look back at as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always thought about being a coach after softball just because, like, that's part of the reason why my major is psychology. Because if I can't become a sports therapist and get my doctorates of 13 years of college, I
Mm-hmm.
have coaching to hopefully rely on and be someone special at the next level. So,
Nice. And then when you're doing the lessons, what are some of the advice or what's some advice that you asked your other coaches when you were trying to instill some of these mental aspects, the lessons, the mechanics of softball into your girls?
Yeah, honestly, I've just kind of asked like the structure of it. How do I go about it? And I have only really asked a couple coaches what I should do, but um I've kind of put everything that I've done with my career all together when I do these lessons, and I focus on the muscle memory of hitting a ball and the muscle memory of taking ground balls. It's just reps after reps and getting better.
Hmm.
It's always been my thing, right? Like I said, I took 200 swings almost every day as a kid growing up. So, um, just perfecting the way you feel the ground ball and the way that you hit the ball every day. That's what I would want to preach on my kids, not trying to put them in overdrive, but yeah, just making yourself better every chance you get. And yeah.
Is that something that is still a problem nowadays? Kind of overdoing, overworking, overdriving the kids to where a point where they're just so burnt out to a point where they can't go that extra step, they can't do it no more.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially here in Arizona, I would do lessons over the summer, and I mean, I even had teammates of my own during practices that would have to sit out or probably throw up, like just
Oh wow.
because it does go a little crazy sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of your stamina, your muscle stamina as well, and becoming used to that grind because once you can get used to that grind, you just keep getting better and better, and you keep getting
Hmm.
stronger more mentally. It makes you stronger mentally because if you can't like, say you throw up, are you just going to quit or are you going to keep going? Like, that's,
True.
you have to take it as a challenge or a struggle and you're going to fail,
Yeah.
and like that's something our team has even talked about as of late too, is like, take it as a challenge, don't take it
Hmm.
as like, oh my gosh, I should quit. Like, that's something else that I want to teach the younger generation as we go along the sport of softball. So,
Nice. And kind of ending this interview with this question here: what do you believe that you and your team need to do to make sure you guys reach the World Series, College World Series at the end, and calling yourselves national champions at the end of the season?
yeah, kind of like I said, right? We take this past weekend as a challenge or
Hmm.
we just keep getting worse. So our mentality this year is just keep getting better. Take it as a challenge. Take a strikeout as a challenge, not it's gonna bring me down. So yeah, I think we're gonna be good this year. We all have a group of girls that have came together and we
Hmm.
actually do have mental health meetings with Dr. Mark. He's our sports therapist and he's helped us to really realize that. So yeah, but to consider ourselves national champions, we have to take this year as a challenge and not let minor setbacks or losses keep us down. So I think we'll do a pretty good job of that coming back this week for sure.
Nice, good to hear. Shout out to Dr. Mark, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tanya, thank you so much for joining me here today. It was a great conversation that we had, learning more about you, kind of your how you tackle the game of softball, how you instill it to your girls. It was a really great conversation. What are some of the links that people can follow you if they want to?
Yeah, so I do kind of mental health lessons on athlete2athlete.com. I'm a mentor, so you guys can find me on there. And there's also Influence T and Athletes Thread. Both of those websites, you guys can search my name in there and all of my merchandise will come up. And yeah, so
Nice. And you guys can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at SamMac55, Instagram at SamMacias5, and my YouTube channel, Sam Macias, where you can see this interview here and all my other crazy videos that I do, my reactions to shows, trailers, anything that's out there, I do. I want to thank Tanya Windle for joining me here today. It was such a pleasure. Thank you again.
yes, thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And until next time, you beautiful, lovely, gorgeous individuals. Bye.